What's up, ATG fam? It's my favorite time of day, walking with Onyx. It's creative time, and I think I can finally boil how to unleash your creativity down into two exact challenges by breaking up creativity into two parts. So let's take the first part of creativity, would actually be the courage to do what you believe in. If you look at some of these most famous, Amazons and Facebooks and Tesla and stuff like that. All right, what's Uber? Uber is, it's the idea that anyone can be a taxi. See, it's not, there's the Star Wars movie, right? There's a whole lot more creation going on there, but look at Uber, it's this wild success. And, someone had to have the courage to do what they believed in. Maybe 1,000 people, had that idea, right? But someone had to have the courage to carry it through. So challenge number one is we're gonna work on our courage. And I've been doing this has been the heart and soul of knee ability, really, is me going into gyms. This started when I was like 19, decided to devote my life to figuring out, okay, my life's mission is to figure out how to bulletproof the knees. So I was painting walls for my dad all day, and 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and then again at night, I was experimenting on my knees. So it started with just the courage to do things I believed in. And I've put here the most agreeable thing that from exercise scientists to everybody else, is just the concept that the stronger you get backwards, the more protected you get forwards. So I've put a video tutorial of how to do this safely, as well as an article, because I don't want you to do it if you don't believe in it, right? So you don't have to do what I'm saying, but if you read and look at that, and if you believe in it, well, now you have to go into the gym, and where everyone has their treadmills turned off or turned on, walking forwards, you now have to turn that thing off, turn around and walk backwards. People are going to be looking at you. You're going to feel that energy of, oh my gosh, right? That embarrassment that you're doing something different, but it's something you believe in. So every time you do that, and in the ATG system, I was going to the gym and doing these ass to grass split squats, lifting weights with, everyone's doing curls. I'm doing curls, for my shin muscles, lifting weights with my feet, doing reverse step-ups, makeshifting Nordics. So I realized I built up a ton of courage. So that's your challenge number one, is to go into the gym and do something like this. So I would say either the reverse out knee pain or the tibialis. They're the two safest starting points of knee ability. And you could do at least one of those two in your gym, ideally at a time when there's other people around. So that's challenge number one, to start unleashing your creativity. But this brings me to challenge number two, which is that, okay, when I started making my first knee ability breakthroughs, I was painting walls all day. I looked back and realized I didn't have my normal time of watching TV and stuff like that. So the challenge is not to refrain from TV or anything like that. It's actually just to go do the opposite of that. So painting walls isn't bad. If you want to go paint some walls with, maybe you could listen to some music, but ultimately you're just with your own, go paint some walls with your own thoughts. But I think a better one would be to go out into nature somewhere. So I do this every day, and I started doing this, and the year that knee ability was actually born was later on. I got lucky, dog, and he chewed up my remote day one, and I took that as a sign to actually spend that year working on my creativity and really buckle down and not, because I love a good TV show as much as anyone else, right? But what's the opposite of sitting there having life come in at you? Would be going out and being with your thoughts, okay? So that's your challenge number two, is just to go out, ideally somewhere in nature, and unplug. So this gives you kind of two things, right? You can go into the gym and do something, or it could be here, right? I show different versions of reverse out knee pain. I mean, you could go, if I went to a tree right there and started doing tibialis raises, I mean, people are gonna notice, right? I'm gonna look weird, but I'm doing something that's money in the bank for my body that I believe in, right? So reverse out knee pain or tibialis raise in public somewhere, whether at the gym or elsewhere, is challenge number one. And then challenge number two is to unplug. I really don't care for how long you do it. It's just to make a real effort to go do the opposite of letting life come in at you. Go out somewhere and just unplug for a bit. I can't discount the fact that I did this twice a day, every day once I got lucky. Now I do it 3 times a day. I walk lucky, and yeah, I'm working a bunch from my phone and stuff like that. So I'm talking about putting the phone in the pocket or whatever for that time, okay? Which I still make sure I take the time to do myself every day. This is my favorite time of the day. It's the time I get to be right here with Onyx. The truth is that this just helps him sleep, but it's my creativity time each day that I just let my mind, you know, where's my mind gonna go rather than life coming in at me. So this gives us two really good challenges. For people in sports, I think this could be huge. Look at Michael Jordan, this creative player, right? Well, what sticks out to me the most is still the shot. And it's not the shot, it's the play that led to the shot. Jordan went completely out of defensive assignment. He wasn't supposed to go over there and try to steal the ball from Karl Malone. He saw it, he believed in it, and he didn't hesitate. The rest is history. So as an athlete, it doesn't mean you have to be wild, but we may be holding ourselves back by holding back our creativity a bit to just, you know, plays will happen like that in our sport where we just have to believe in it and see it and go for it. And my final conclusion is you may need someone to believe in yourself. I don't think you have to. I think you could do it purely on your own, but from the people that I've known personally, one of my best friends who was short, slow, couldn't jump, ended up being a 7-year NFL pro against all the odds. His mom believed in him from the time he was a kid and would make him actually talk as if he was in the NFL. Now, no one had that kind of belief in me, and I didn't make the NBA, but I did do something pretty crazy, which is finished high school, no recruitment at any level. Now I'm, you know, painting walls for a couple of years, and then I got a full ride college scholarship. I went to one of these kind of second chance teams, which was such a blessing for me, but not everyone makes it out of there, right? And on day one, their recruiting expert, who they're paying, like I'm basically paying this guy, tells me that I can't get a scholarship. Like it's not in the cards. So like physically, like it's impossible for me to get a basketball scholarship. So I was too, in his words, I was too slow. It'd be physically impossible for me to get a basketball scholarship. But I could start finding schools that, you know, I could pay to go there and maybe have a walk-on spot on the team, right? Well, I remember driving back home after this, I called my dad. My dad was my one guy who believed in me. And he asked me, he didn't say, yeah, let's start looking at Division III and NAIA schools. No, he said, well, how does that make you feel? I said, this gives me even more fire. Well, I got a full ride scholarship out of there, and the very same guy who told me that it'd be physically impossible, once I got it, he calls me up and he says, I don't know how that happened, but you're never gonna play 1 minute at that school. He said, I know the coach, I know how tough their conference is, one of the top junior colleges in the country. He said, I know you're never gonna play a minute there, you shouldn't. He was trying to tell me even at that point not to take the full scholarship. I ended up being a 2-year starter, led the team in minutes for 2 years, ended up leading my team to back-to-back conference titles, was the Florida Scholar Athlete of the Year for basketball. And my dad believed that I could do that. And even once I was there in junior college, I was then trying to get a D1 scholarship for a guy who wasn't recruited at any level. This is still insane. And you know what? My dad still believed me, and I got a D1 scholarship. I actually was committed to go to Boston University on a full ride. But look, I was 5 years out of high school. So the NCAA denied my eligibility. We appealed it. And when it came back, you know what though? When it came back and it was denied by the NCAA, I didn't bat an eye because it was in the off season. What was I doing? I was being creative with my workouts, and I had already talked to the strength coach at Boston University. He was not gonna let me do knees over toes, which is super ironic because it was experimenting with knees over toes that got me a scholarship. And then it was actually my first year, taking my college classes, watching TV shows, letting life come in at me again. Didn't make much progress my first year, I went backwards. Second year, in season, what did I do? I went back to my nighttime experiments. I went to LA Fitness every night experimenting, and my stats went up. By the end of the season, I was our top player. My performance had totally changed. I went from a non-creative guy on the court to creating all kinds of plays. My performance was skyrocketing my sophomore year, and it had to do with that creativity. And my body, my knees, I felt like I was on clouds by the end of the year. My vertical was going up, my speed was going up. So the point is that my experiments, and you know what it's like in college, you might not be able to do your own training, but my sophomore year, I was one of the captains, and my coach let me do that. So my coach my sophomore year let me do that. He actually encouraged my creativity on the court. My stats started going much better. I started helping the team a lot more, yada, yada, yada. But the point is that when the NCAA denied my eligibility, because I still could have gone Division II, I had a dozen full ride Division II offers on the table. Even those strength coaches, they weren't gonna let me do knees over toes, the very thing that got me into that position. And so I never regret it, and I've been happy ever since because I've been able to express my creativity. So, biggest thanks by far goes to my dad for being the person that believes in me, and that's why I had to give you that as that last thing, because I don't really know cases of people who did this without at least that one person believing in them. So if it means anything to you, I believe in you because I see these crazy things happen. I helped 13 kids in a 2-year span go from completely unrecruited, finished high school, done with high school, no recruitment at any level, to full ride scholarships. So I believe in this. I see it happen. I have helped and seen those guys who were cut out of the NFL or whatever get back in and succeed. I see these things, so maybe I'm that one guy for you, but maybe you have that one person in your life, and my advice is give them some more calls, right? Don't put energy on the people at this time who don't believe in you, because you need to fuel that courage for yourself. So spend some more time. For me, it was calling up my dad when that guy told me that it would be, and I didn't know, I hadn't done it yet. And this guy said it's physically impossible for me to get a scholarship after analyzing with this giant 20-point breakdown of how much I sucked, right? So my dad believed in me. You may need to find that person. Spend more time with them, okay? Much love, ATG fam.